All right, 29. Using substitution, why is that or otherwise find that? Okay, so, oops. All right, so if y is 2 minus x, dy dx is negative 1, which means dy equals negative dx. Or negative dy is dx because we're substituting for dx. Okay, so this becomes x squared over y squared. Dx is negative dy, so I'm going to take out that. Okay, looks very unhelpful, right? Because now we've got x's and y's and dy's. Okay, so x is going to be 2 minus y, right? So this is going to be 2 minus y squared over y squared dy. And if we expand this, that's going to be 4 minus 4y plus y squared over y squared dy. And that's negative 4 over y squared minus 4 over y, because we're separating the numerator over its denominator, plus 1 dy, which becomes 4y to the negative 2 okay, whatever. So now we're going to have negative 4y to the negative 1 over negative 1 minus 4 natural log y plus y plus c. Okay, I'm just going to distribute the negative to all of this stuff too. So that's going to become a positive 4 over y. That's going to become a positive 4 natural log y plus minus y plus c. Now y is 2 minus x, and we needed this with respect to x. So 4 over 2 minus x plus 4 natural log 2 minus x minus 2 minus x plus c. Okay, so this one, we're going to have du dx is 1/2. So that dx is 2 du. And this becomes x square root u du and then the 2 on the outside. So we will solve this for x. It's going to be u minus 1 times 2 is x. So I'm going to take this 2 out so that this becomes 4. And this is u minus 1 times u to the 1/2. So this is u to the 1/2. Here, just in case. So this is 2. X is 2u minus 1. And this is u to the 1/2 du. This 2 I'm taking out. 4. U minus 1, u to the 1/2 du. Now I'm going to distribute. So this is u to the 1 plus 1/2, so u to the 3/2 minus u to the 1/2 du. And then it's just power rule. So you add 1, so 5/2 over 5/2, which is 2/5. Minus plus 1 is u to the 3/2 over 3/2, which is 2/3, plus c. So now we're going to have 8u, which is 1/2 x plus 1 to the 5/2 over 5, minus 2u 3/2 over 3. Oh no, sorry. This is minus 8 because I just had to distribute the 4 and then plus c. Oh, yeah. And no, you can't distribute this 8. These 8s don't go in because it's got a power. Okay, so this is your final answer. All right, so we're going to have du dx is 1. Dx is du. So that our integral becomes x cubed over u squared du. And x is u minus 2. So we're going to have u minus 2 cubed over u squared. Feel free to expand that out. I'm going to use this. So we're going to have u cubed plus 3u squared and negative 2 plus 3u negative 2 squared plus negative 2 cubed over u squared du. So this becomes u cubed minus 6u squared. That's 4 plus 12u minus 8 over u squared. So that this becomes u cubed over u squared is u, minus 6, because the u squareds will cancel, plus 12 over u minus 8u to the negative 2. And then u squared over 2 integrating minus 6u plus 12 natural log u minus 8u to the negative 1 over negative 1. So this term is positive plus c. So u was x plus 2. So we're going to have x plus 2 squared over 2 minus 6x plus 2 plus 12 natural log x plus 2 plus 8 over x plus 2 plus c. Okay, so dx d theta is root 5 cosine theta. Okay, so now we're going to have root 5 minus root 5 sine theta squared, and dx is root 5 cosine theta d theta when we cross multiply by d theta. Sometimes you don't know where you're going with this, but okay, so this is going to be 5 minus root 5 squared is 5 sine squared theta, and then this is root 5 cosine theta, and then we can factor out the 5, and this is 1 minus sine squared theta, and this is root 5 cosine squared theta. Root 5 cosine theta. And we can actually separate this to root 5 root cosine squared. So that root 5 and root 5 are 5. Square root of cosine squared is cosine. So that cosine times cosine is cosine squared. And then we need to get that cosine squared away. So we can use I'm just kind of looking ahead with this sign, so I'm just going to use that cosine 2 theta. Oh, I guess I'm not looking ahead. Anyways, is 2 cosine squared theta minus 1. So cosine 2 theta plus 1 over 2 is cosine squared theta. So now this becomes 5 over 2. I'm going to take that 1/2 out. Cosine 2 theta plus 1 d theta. And then integral of cosine is sine 2 theta and then divide by 2 plus theta plus c. So now this is going to be 5 over 4 sine 2 theta plus 5 over 2 theta plus c. So we need to solve this for theta. So it's going to be x over root 5 is sine theta. So sine inverse. Okay, so that we don't want to use that. I mean, we could use that, but that's just not going to look good. So if we have sine theta, so here's theta, x over hypotenuse, right? So I think actually we can use sine inverse of x over root 5 is theta for this theta. But here, if we do x squared plus y squared equals root 5 squared, we're going to have that y squared is 5 minus x squared. So y is root 5 minus x squared. So this will be the cosine. And we know sine 2 theta is 2 sine theta, which is x over root 5, cosine theta, which is going to be adjacent over hypotenuse. So that's that. 5 over 2 theta, which is sine inverse of x over root 5 plus c. So this is going to be 5 over 2, because those cancel. Actually, there will not be a 5 up here at all because the root 5 and root 5 are 5, which cancel with that 5. So this is just 1/2 x root 5 minus x squared plus 5 over 2 sine inverse of x over root 5 plus c. Okay, 33. Calculate this using substitution that. Okay, so we will have, okay, so dx d theta is, so this is 4 and then sine theta squared, right? So dx d theta is 8 sine theta to the 1, and then times the derivative, which is cosine theta, and we can write this as 4 times 2 sine theta cosine theta, which is 4 sine 2 theta. I don't know if we need that, but we might. So, and then we'll see what's going on if we need d theta or whatever, dx. If we dx, right? So dx is 4 sine 2 theta d theta when we cross multiply. Okay, so now we will have our integral is the square root of x, which is 4 sine squared theta, over 4 minus 4 sine squared theta, dx, which is 4 sine 2 theta. We'll see if we need to use that or the previous one or whatever. Okay, so the top square root is clearly 2 sine theta. Now the bottom, we can take out a 4. This is going to be 1 minus sine squared theta on the inside bracket, which is cosine squared theta. And I think I'm going to revert to what we had before, which was 8 sine theta cosine theta d theta, because we're going to be able to cancel some stuff. So that this is 2 sine theta over 2 cosine theta. So those cancel. And then 8 sine theta cosine theta d theta, so that the cosines cancel. So we are going to have 8 on the outside, sine squared theta d theta. Now we're going to use the cosine, because the other trig identities will just also result in something squared. So we have cosine 2 theta equals 1 minus 2 sine squared theta. So we have cosine 2 theta minus 1 over negative 2 is sine squared theta. So this is going to be 8 over negative 2, which is negative 4. Then cosine 2 theta minus 1 d theta. And then that is, so that's going to be sine 2 theta over 2. Oh, we are going to use maybe sine 2 theta. I don't know. And then minus theta when we do the integral, then plus c. So when we distribute the negative 4, we're going to have negative 2 sine 2 theta plus 4 theta plus c. So recall we want this all in terms of x, and we need it in this form. So when we, okay, so x is that. So we have x over 4 is sine squared theta, and sine theta is the square root of x over 2 when we take the square root of both sides. So that means in our triangle, because this next thing we're going to rewrite as 2 sine theta cosine theta plus 4 theta plus c. So we've got sine theta. That's square root of x over 2 from this. So if this is theta, this is square root of x over hypotenuse 2. So that square root of x squared plus y squared equals 2 squared. So that's x. No, sorry. So yeah, x plus y squared equals 4. So y squared is 4 minus x. So y is root 4 minus x. So that cosine, so we've got negative 4, sine theta was root x over 2, and then cosine is root 4 minus x, so the adjacent over hypotenuse, which is 2, plus now 4 theta. So if sine theta is this sine inverse of root x over 2 is theta. So we have sine inverse of root x over 2 plus c. And finally, so if we want it in that form, we have a is 4 arc sine root x over 2 plus b. So the 4 and these 2's will cancel. So this is negative 1 is b. And all under the same root, we're going to have 4x minus x squared, when we would have x times 4 minus x under the square root, and then plus c.